You've been lied to about flying your whole life. And the wild part is, it's not the big dramatic stuff that's wrong, it's the tiny facts people repeat so often that they feel true. Tonight, I'm going to walk you through 11 of the most common flying myths a real airline pilot hears all the time. And once you know the truth, you will never look at turbulence, lightning, or those yellow oxygen masks the same way again. Let's start with the big fear, the one that quietly scares even frequent flyers. Myth: turbulence can rip the wings off and crash the plane. If turbulence made planes fall out of the sky, modern aviation would not exist. Commercial jets are literally stress-tested in ways that would terrify you if you saw it in real life. Manufacturers bend wings up and down way beyond anything nature can throw at them to make sure they don't fail in flight. Wings on large airliners can flex dramatically without damage, and real-world turbulence almost never comes close to those limits. What turbulence really is: choppy air, the sky's equivalent of a rough road. What it feels like: your stomach drops, coffee splashes, someone gasps 2 rows behind you. What it means to the pilots: annoying but routine. Before every flight, pilots study weather, turbulence forecasts, and reports from aircraft ahead of them. And in flight, they use onboard radar to sidestep the nastiest bits. When they can't avoid it completely, they slow the aircraft to a recommended turbulence penetration speed, which actually reduces stress on the airframe. Can turbulence hurt you? Yes, but only if you're not strapped in. Almost all turbulence injuries are to people or crew who weren't wearing seatbelts when the bumps hit, not because the airplane was in danger. So the honest translation of this myth is, turbulence will not break the airplane, but it can throw an unbuckled human around. If you remember one thing, the safest reaction to turbulence isn't panic. It's quietly clicking your seatbelt a little tighter. Myth: lightning will blow up the plane. Believe it or not, getting struck by lightning is basically part of the job for an airliner. Many commercial jets are struck roughly once a year, and modern design standards are built around that reality. The aircraft's skin acts like a giant metal shell around you, so when lightning hits, the current travels along the outside and exits, usually near the tail instead of going through the cabin or the fuel. Think of the airplane as a giant flying Faraday cage. Electricity goes around, not through the people inside. Designers add static dischargers and shielding so sensitive electronics don't get fried, and fuel tanks have multiple layers of protection to prevent sparks. After a suspected lightning strike, maintenance crews inspect the aircraft on the ground. That's how routine this is. So if you ever see a flash out the window and hear a bang, the pilots are not thinking, "We're going down." They're thinking, "Okay, we'll log that and get it checked after landing." Myth: cabin air is just recycled germs that make you sick. This one sounds logical until you actually look at how cabin air works. Modern airliners use HEPA filters similar to those in hospitals, which remove the vast majority of airborne particles, including many bacteria and viruses. Cabin air is replaced every few minutes using a mix of fresh outside air and filtered recirculated air, so what you're breathing is often cleaner than in offices, malls, or trains. So why do people feel like they get sick after flights? You're sitting close to lots of people, so direct droplets from coughs and sneezes are still a thing. You're dehydrated because aircraft cabins are pressurized to the equivalent of a few thousand feet in altitude, and the humidity is very low. You don't move much, you might eat poorly, and you touch surfaces a lot. What many people call cabin air sickness is often motion sickness or altitude effects plus tiredness, not the air itself. Hydrating, washing your hands, and not flying exhausted will do more for you than being suspicious of the vents. Myth: autopilot flies the plane while pilots just chill. If autopilot truly flew the plane by itself, airlines could just hire one pilot and a golden retriever to bark if anything beeps. That's not how it works. Autopilot is a very smart assistant, not an autonomous brain. Pilots program the route, altitudes, and speeds into the flight management system. They tell the autopilot what to do and when to do it: climb here, turn there, hold this speed. They continuously monitor weather, fuel, systems, and traffic while the autopilot handles the boring, precise flying. If something doesn't look right, wrong altitude, unexpected turn, strange behavior, pilots can instantly override the automation and hand fly. They also train extensively in simulators to handle situations where autopilot is off or unavailable. So the more accurate line is, pilots fly the plane, and sometimes they use autopilot as a tool. The scary scenario is not too much autopilot. It's a world without highly trained humans watching the automation like a hawk. Myth: you need perfect natural vision to be a pilot. If that were true, half the world's pilots would be out of a job. Aviation authorities allow pilots to fly as long as their vision is corrected to required standards. Glasses and contact lenses are totally normal in the cockpit. For airline-type medicals, the rule is typically that distance vision must be correctable to normal standards, often with glasses or contacts. Near vision and color vision have specific standards, but there are waivers and specialized tests, even for some colorblind pilots. There are even cases where pilots with vision in only one eye can fly under certain conditions after medical evaluations and adaptation periods. So when you see a pilot walk past you with glasses, that's not a borderline case. It's completely normal and fully certified. Myth: flying is more dangerous than driving. Let's put real numbers behind this one, because your brain is terrible at intuitively judging risk. Around the world, road accidents kill over 1 million people every year, while modern commercial air travel has only a tiny number of serious accidents in millions of flights. Aviation stacks layers of safety, redundant systems on the aircraft, strict maintenance intervals, continuous pilot training and simulator checks, and air traffic control monitoring every flight from departure to arrival. Commercial aviation is designed around the philosophy that no single failure should be able to bring the airplane down on its own. When nervous flyers say, "I'd rather drive, at least I'm in control," they're trading emotional comfort for statistical safety. The uncomfortable truth is, you're dramatically safer at cruising altitude in a jet than behind the wheel on your commute. Myth: if an engine fails, the plane has to crash. Here's where Hollywood has really done a number on people. In real aviation, a twin-engine airliner losing one engine is a serious event. But it's also something crews train for constantly, and aircraft are built to handle. Here's the reality. A twin-engine jet is certified to be able to take off, climb, and clear obstacles even after losing one engine at the worst possible moment on takeoff. Once in cruise, the plane can continue flying and divert to a suitable airport on the remaining engine. Systems, procedures, and routes are all designed around that capability. Even if all engines were to fail, a rare scenario, the airplane doesn't fall like a rock. It glides. From cruising altitude, a jet can usually cover dozens of miles while pilots set up a landing. Real incidents like the famous Gimli glider or the Air Transat fuel leak over the Atlantic ended in safe, powerless landings because the aircraft could glide and crews were trained for it. So the truth is the opposite of the myth. Engine problems activate a whole set of procedures, and backup performance the aircraft was certified for years before passengers ever stepped on board. Myth: oxygen masks only give you about 15 minutes, then you're done. This myth sounds chilling until you understand what that time limit is actually for. The oxygen generators behind those masks typically provide a short, carefully calculated duration of oxygen. That's not a random number. It's enough to give pilots time to perform an emergency descent to a safe altitude, where everyone can breathe normally without masks, usually below around 10,000 feet. In a rapid depressurization, the sequence goes like this. Masks drop automatically, you pull to start the flow, and pilots immediately don their own masks and initiate a quick but controlled descent. Within minutes, the plane reaches breathable air, where the cabin no longer requires supplemental oxygen. The masks are not meant to keep you alive for the rest of the flight. They're a bridge, a short safety window, while the airplane moves from a hostile environment to a human-friendly one. As long as you put the mask on promptly when it drops, that window is more than enough. Myth: pilots have parachutes under their seats. If you've ever imagined your pilots bailing out with parachutes while you sit there with a paper safety card, that's pure movie logic. Commercial airliners do not carry parachutes for crew or passengers. Why not? Jumping out of a pressurized jet at high altitude and speed is basically impossible. The airflow, cold, and lack of breathable air would be lethal long before you opened a chute. Even if you could get out, you'd be falling into unknown terrain, potentially at night with no way to coordinate hundreds of people suddenly turning into skydivers. Instead, safety is built around keeping everyone inside the airplane. Multiple engines, redundant systems, tight maintenance, and training focused on getting the aircraft safely on the ground, even in extreme failures. The only jets where you'll find pilots sitting on parachutes are military fighters designed from day one with ejection seats and solo escape in mind. Hit subscribe, send this to that one friend who white-knuckles the armrest at every tiny bump, and tell me in the comments which myth you believed before this. The next time you hear someone whispering about turbulence, lightning, or doors opening mid-flight, you'll know better, and you'll have the facts to prove it.